I'm Cameron Frazier. I'm an illustrator and designer based out of Dallas, Texas. I generally work in editorial illustration. I like to make images that go along with people's words that they've written to provide a visual representation of what they're trying to get across. I primarily work in sports blogs, sports stuff like that. I think that sports is such a wonderful thing and a wonderful focus because they're basically like machines made to create interesting storylines. You have a bunch of larger-than-life characters creating larger-than-life moments, and visuals do a great job of recreating that emotion that you might have felt when you're watching it, or helping visualize that larger-than-life character in a larger-than-life setting. A lot of the difficulty comes from trying to choose a good image for the story that's there. Like, I might have a certain idea of how I can tackle a player, but in the context of a story, they might not be right. But once that image is done, there's definitely a little difficulty of the actual execution of it. That's the most time-consuming part. But I never want to spend a long time executing on an actual idea if the idea is not ready for the story. When I'm working in sports, I usually use like a comic book type style, and the reason I do that is because it's a lot easier to create these scenarios for the characters to be in larger-than-life situations. Like, for example, I drew an illustration of Kevin Durant, who's a basketball player for the Brooklyn Nets, wreaking havoc on a city's bridge. Basically, he was there. It was basically his arrival in Brooklyn, so he's pictured extremely large next to the Brooklyn Bridge. And so the reason I choose a comic book style for things like that is because seeing larger-than-life images is something that's pretty normal in comic book type settings, so it's interesting to me to take visuals from the sports world and kind of cast them in the comic book style, in the comic book worlds where anything can happen.